decided now's time to go live, and it will be right on the night and hit speed bumps straight through. Anyway, hello, good evening, and welcome everybody. It's a office hours video, and which means feel free to ask questions. And tonight I'm going to do a soft launch of a Learn English roadmap. So I had started the channel quite a while ago, and I sort of ran in a direction without really having a big plan of where to go. So I've made a mind map, or several different mind maps of all different items and around the house, and I'm planning on tonight's live stream of going through it. There's going to be some bumps, all things aren't going to be too right, but hopefully before I then turn this into a real video to uh, watch, there's a much more polished version. I can sort a few things out of the way. So I tried to boil some keywords in English right down. If you had never spoken a word of it before and somehow you were an exchange student and you ended up living with me, here are the words I think that you'd want to know for the first week. So this assumes that if you're living with me, you knowing to way around isn't too important. I can go with you everywhere that we need to go. We can go to the shops and I can sort of ease you into English. But I would say if there's one word to learn first, it would be help. Help. So I have also marked this presentation up a little bit with some icons. Not all of them have them. So say verbs has got the double down arrow, which means it's not important right now. Do not worry about verbs. I've just put these in here for later, things to learn about. But help is a very important word. So if you only get to learn, say, 10 words a day, then this is what I would say. Look at the double up arrows one. So a verb is a doing word such as running and jumping, and we won't go into them. There might be a few of them later. And then also going from this, even though I've worked on some of the basics, I then want to then take people on to becoming fluent in ESL and English second language and take a bit. I figured start at the very beginning is a way to go, and then I can come back to this later. So also some jobs. So these are things people do, but an important job is a doctor. If you're sick, you will go to a hospital and be looked at by a doctor who will help get you better. Also, if there's a major emergency, a firefighter is one of the first responders. There's 3 different types of first responders: doctor, firefighter, and police officer. But if, say, a building is on fire or a car has gone off the road, then firefighters will likely respond to it. And they'll be some of the first responders. But then also, if it's your first 24 hours and we're in the same unit or house, then you certainly want something to drink. And I want you to be able to say what you would like to drink. That water kind of the main thing people will drink, and comes out of a tap, and milk stored in the fridge. It comes from cows, and also juice, coffee, usually had with milk or sugar as well, and then tea, and then also some soft drink. And if we've had a bit of a busy day, we might have a beer afterwards to relax. And those are drinks. These are all liquids. And then we're going to get hungry over there, whether it's lunchtime or dinner, and we want some food. And if you only say a few things the first few days, I reckon chocolate, cookie, salad, sandwich, bread, apple, egg, and cheese are some very good words to learn first. So we could say get an egg and cheese sandwich, or if you just wanted some snacks or wanted something very light and healthy, a salad. So there's a bit of not quite full balanced meals and similar there. I'm trying to cover everything, trying to get some stuff where someone can get in the right ballpark. So originally I'd considered other words like hot dog and pizza, but these are the ones I'd say first to learn. Also, ice cream after dinner, we could have some dessert. It's another dairy product. You might want to have a burger, so short for a hamburger. And with all these words, I wanted to try and make each one sound different. So there's a few cases where things might sound similar, but there might be two different ways of saying things. So I've tried to choose different things. So even if you don't quite get it right, you can, should be able to have a good idea of what's going on, what you're trying to get at. And cake. But another option for dinner is soup. And soup by itself is a bit ambiguous, but hopefully we can then point different things and might point the difference between, say, chicken and corn soup and then tomato soup. And same with pizza. You can have meat lovers pizzas. You could just have margarita or in pineapple. There's many varieties of gourmet stuff. And some other staples is rice. And well, I've got pizza there twice, so I'll have to get back to that. But I'd been working on this for a while, and it got to the point where I didn't want to keep putting more polish on to make it perfect. So I said, right, wrap it up. It's time to get something out. But some other words for conversation. Yes. And I've got a thumbs up there indicating agreeing, and no. And if normally everything in this presentation is just aimed at one word to try and get things across. But if you were to learn a sentence early on, I speak little English, should hopefully anyone you talk to would get understand too that they might need to say some things twice or change how they're saying things to help communication. So now we've got some food sorted. There are some other things around the house to get into. So sorry, I'll just check the chat if it's changed. That in case something pops up that I can't see. So items around the house. So this is a sentence. Don't worry about it now. So, but towel, soap, which sounds similar to soup, but soap to clean your hands and clean yourself. A bag, if in case we go out and you get to put some things in. A blanket, if you're going to bed or it's cold, you want to stay warm. Shampoo, if you go into a shower or a bath and to help clean yourself. Pillow. And I've added fire extinguisher because I want to get across the concept of fire and as an emergency. So I might do flashcards of these later and try and put an icon associated with each of them, but I've got this as a syllabus, so I don't have items just yet. So there's some other items that are related to food that aren't food themselves. So a fork is something you eat food with. A knife is something you use to chop food up into smaller pieces. A spoon is something you'd eat soup with. And mug is a small container you'd have tea and coffee in. So I think I also had considered cup and glass in the items, but the glass could be confused with glasses and cups, so don't worry too much about that. And if you're looking to learn, we might get some writing items for you. So something to look into. It would need a notebook and a pencil, and pencil can be used to write things down, but it can also have an eraser. But you can also have a pen, so that's a bit more permanent. If you're going from travel to go from place to place, ambulance is a vehicle that will take people to a hospital. And if you're only learning a few words, this is the page I would start with before really going to other ones. And there's some places you might go to. A hospital, where people go that are sick to get better. And a house is where people live. Some other items around the house is a toilet, where people go when and bed, place where people sleep. sink to go and wash your hands and tidy up. Kitchen is where food is prepared, and a fridge is where food is kept, and it's cold, so it stays fresh longer. So that's my initial words, and I've got a key here where you could explain the different icons, and I'm using that throughout the other ones. So we'll go on to some other items around the house. So early on, we're just going to stay around the house. We're not going to go out, wander out around the city just yet. So there's some other words that might be of interest. Some different rooms in the house. A bedroom is where people go and sleep. Bathroom is where people will go and clean themselves. Might be outside working in the yard and get dirty, and then they might come home and get clean before having dinner. Laundry is where clothes are washed and then cleaned. A living room is where people might spend some time and relax and maybe watch a movie or read a book. And a dining room is where people might gather around a table and eat food. Inside the bathroom, you might have a shower, step in, and water will help clean you. A mirror, you might look at yourself and make sure that things are right and nice before stepping outside. In the living room, there might be a bookshelf with a lot of books on there. A sofa, there's a place to sit nice and comfy. TV, which is short for television, it's just an abbreviation. Might watch some news or put a movie on, but you control it with a remote control. A shelf is similar to a bookshelf, but just as a commonplace. And then a window. You might open it up and let some fresh air in, or open a blind and let some more light in. So next to that, when you're going into and leaving a house, you've got the entrance, which is a door you'd walk through. And when you leave, you might want to lock the door behind you so other people don't go inside. If you're leaving with a car or maybe on a push bike, they might go to the garage. When cleaning some clothes in the laundry, you'd initially put them into the washing machine. And then if it's a cloudy day, you might put them into a dryer, and so they don't stay wet. In the bedroom, you typically have a clock. You might have a desk to study at, a bed to sleep in, and a wardrobe to put clothes in. Inside the kitchen, you get a tap that could have water flow out of it. A refrigerator or fridge will keep food cold so we can keep it longer. A freezer keeps food very cold and lets us store it for much longer, several months instead of just a couple of days or maybe a month. A fridge. Stove is used to cook food. An oven is used to bake food, such as bread rolls. Cupboard is at room temperature, and it stores things like pasta and flour and biscuits. Sometimes we might be chopping some things up like vegetables and can't use all of it, like the stem or core of an apple. And once we're finished with that we eat the part, but the rest of it goes into a dust bin. Moving into the dining room, a table we put the food on and sit down at. While sitting on a chair, some curtains in the windows might be opened to let more light in, or they might be closed for privacy. If it's hot or cold, might turn the air conditioner on. And an air conditioning unit can typically do both, heat or cool. But there might also just be a heater that can just do heating, and a fan moves the air around, which can help cool as well. Outside the house, a garden that might be growing some vegetables in, a shed to keep some tools in, a gate at the edge of the property, and for hot days we might have a pool. to go for a swim in. And that's and around the house. So if we go out shopping, we might need to pick some things up. Just can see some things there that aren't quite on the screen. So let me try and change that. I think there's a bit of lag in what's visible and not. All right, sorry about that. Bear with me. So, right, that's everything. I'll just move items back up. So around the house and previously, might have a fan to move some air around and help cool people. Might have an alarm clock by our bed to wake us up in the morning. A telephone could be part of the house to let us call people far away. Might have some flowers to help make the place smell nice and look pretty. To might have a razor to stop growing a beard. A lamp could be beside a bed to have light so we could read at night. And we might want a bandage. If someone gets injured, we could put a bandage on it and that could help. There's some tools that we could use if we're going to be building something. A ruler will help us measure stuff. A hammer, if I've got to hit some nails together and join some bits of wood. Scissors, if I've got to cut something. Rope, if I might need to tie something together. A flashlight as a portable source of light, so I might be working underneath the house and need a flashlight so I could see. The compass will help people find directions by pointing north. So if we're getting advanced, there's another tool that's a compass that helps people draw circles, but I won't go into that anymore, much more. A map can help us find our way from one point to another. There might be some landmarks or some geographical features. Some glue could be used to stick some things together. A calculator can help us do some maths, so adding up a lot of numbers or multiplying or dividing some together or subtracting. We've got some kids with us. They might want to play. A girl might want a doll, or a boy might want a doll, or a general name for that is a toy. And might want to play some sports with a ball. If we're going outside, we might want to put a few items in a bag for a trip outside, such as some money, some ID or identification. A wallet is something we'd put money into and ID. If it's looking wet, might put an umbrella in there so we can open it up and avoid the rain. An aspirin, if you have a headache, it can help relieve the pain. And a mobile phone can help us in communication with people while we're out. Tablet is a computer that's larger than a mobile phone, but still not quite as big as a computer. A passport is another form of ID. It's used to travel from country to country. And a battery, if we need to go away for a long period of time and still plug in the phone and similar, a battery will help us use them longer if we're away from a power point. So if we're dealing with food, a saucepan is something we can cook food in. A saucer is something that goes under a cup. It's a small plate. We go to the supermarket, we can buy some groceries. We can put food in a bowl for servings for each person. So soup would be a good thing to put in a bowl. A cup, similar to a mug, it's something people would drink out of. Plates. Food is commonly served on a plate, such as a roast or a pizza. And a bottle could let us transport some water around if we're going to it. So might be glass, plastic, but we could put some water into it before we leave and not have to worry about finding somewhere to get a drink. We could set an alarm on the phone if we've got to be somewhere at a certain time, and it might make a noise similar to a bell. Uh, some people like to smoke a cigarette or cigarettes, and it's not a habit I'm into myself, but I figure it's for people that do smoke that this would be important to learn. Treasure, it's a form of valuable, so similar to gold, and I was thinking of touching on something pirate themed, so say pirates as the bad guys and something similar to police as the people police chase pirates, and then also touch on a sword and a helmet as things they could use as a weapon and protection. So I've included those here as words. Trash, similar to dustbin, and rubbish goes into a trash. So I've put that as an extra level underneath it. So I'll move entertainment up here and put things through. There we go. That should be nice for it. So entertainment, if we've got some time away from work or similar, we might have a book to read. And one of the earlier books I'd recommend for someone just learning out is a picture dictionary. So it's a dictionary with a limited set of words, but there's a lot more pictures in there of it. Might listen to the radio. It could play playing some music, or it could be a talk show, or it could be the news. Might want to flip through a magazine or read today's newspaper. If it's been a particularly exciting day, might want to make a note in a diary. And if we're learning some new things, we might want a guidebook as well. So I'll just finish off with one last one of some containers. Its container is something you put things in. So it could be a tin. On top of it, seal it and open it up is a lid. If we're going shopping around a supermarket, we might get a basket to put some things into. But if we're getting a lot of things, we might get a cart instead. And a jar, there might be clear jars with a lid for pickles or jam. And box is a common name, but typically they're made out of cardboard. And it's just a general way of storing something. So, and that's items. So next, we'll go on to some clothing. We have things to wear. I'm just going to step away from the screen for a little bit and check something. I'll be back real soon. All right, and I'm back. So some clothing. So again, there's quite a few important words and some others not so much. So the ones I'd learn first, you've probably got to learn all of them. So underwear, people typically don't see underwear. It might be a bra, or there might be some panties, or it might be boxer shorts. And shorts go around the legs, but don't cover all of the legs. The shirt covers the upper body. Put socks on before putting shoes on. It helps reduce friction, and similar with the feet if you're going to be walking a long time. So shoes, longer shorts, pants. If you want to put something on your head, hat. And if it's very cold outside, you might want to put a coat on to help keep you a little bit warmer. To tell the time, you might want to wear a watch. And you might want glasses, which could be also sunglasses if it's a very bright day. But glasses, some people might need them to help them see. Gloves are something that go on the hand for protection. And if you're going to the beach, swimmers, you'd definitely want those. So you don't want to go into the water fully clothed. Other words are a jacket, which is similar to a coat, dress, a t-shirt, a skirt, jeans, and boots, which are very sturdy shoes. So going and if you go into a shop, you might have to order coffees or similar. So you might need numbers. You might 0, 1. Now I've put the digit there as well as the written word. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. There's certainly a lot more numbers. This covers all of the digits. So if someone said to you, you're in a hotel room 342, you might not understand 342 so far, or 312. But 312 would be a bit easy to learn as well. So that's numbers. So go touch on body parts for the moment. And so body parts, starting at your head, in front of it is the face. And I've also, for this one, of course, there's different words for whether you're talking about one or both. So singular or plural, you might have one or many, or one or two or more. An eye and eyes, an ear and ears help you hear things. Eyes, you see things. Hair grows on top of your head. Chest is the part of your upper body. Skin is on the outside of the body. You might be injured and bleed through the skin. Arm and arms. And at the end of the arm, there's hand and hands. And there's also each wrist hand has got a thumb, or in both of people have got 2 thumbs, and 10 fingers or a finger. Leg and legs. The bottom is ankle or ankles, depending on whether it's singular or plural. Foot or feet. And knee or knees, which is in the middle part of the leg. And that's some initial body parts. So touch on some verbs now. The verb is a doing word. So it's a opposite of, well, not opposite, but some other words in English got nouns or names for things, and adjectives. So I'll just stick with verbs. Of sleep, need a good night's rest if you've been doing a lot of travel. Rescue, someone gets into trouble and people have to help. They have to go and rescue them. And then another one is heal. If you go to a hospital after being an injury, you would need to heal to get better. You might have, say, dropped something on your foot and can't walk too good at the moment, but once you heal, you can walk at full speed again. Around the house, there might be some chores. So people don't really like to do chores, but they need to get done. Otherwise, things don't go ahead well. So clean, might go through and clean the kitchen after prepping a meal. And at the end of the day, you might wash some clothes or wash yourself. Some verbs relating to food and cooking. You might melt some butter. Once you have the food on the dinner table, you might eat it. Cooking it as well, you might fry it. You might boil it. While it's cooking, you'd want to stir it to avoid some parts being overcooked and burnt. To take a liquid from one thing to another, such as a jug to a glass, you'd pour it. And as you put the food into your mouth, you'd chew it before swallowing it, put it into smaller pieces. There might be an accident at the dinner table and someone might spill some drink and you need to clean it up. You might have a jar of sauce to put it on a hot dog, or a container, a bottle of sauce. and you might have to squeeze it to get the sauce out. And when you go buy some groceries, you at the supermarket, you buy them before you take them home. To get fit and stay active, there's some exercise and movement verbs. So if we're going to the beach, we might go swimming. If we're late for a bus, we might run. I might need to jump to reach something very high. Going from one place to another, we might walk. And when we get there, I'd sit for a bit. Some recreation, so it's a bit of adult word for play, I guess. You might sing, dancing, play. At the end of a particularly large work event, there might be a party. And some other people might relax by going fishing. And I didn't quite get all these other ones sort of grouped, but you might pull something, push it, speak. People talk to each other, like I'm doing into a microphone now. But if they do it very loud, they'd be yelling. So someone moving their head backwards and forwards or up and down is a nod. And a plane or a bird would be flying. Spin something around like the wheel of a car or a train. If we need to make a hole, we'd dig. And might need to pump. So if we need to drive for a long way, might stop at the petrol pump and pump some petrol into the car. And writing, making some notes. So that's some verbs. My first. So you might need to describe some stuff, some colors, and I'm using Australian or British English, so we have a U in there, but some other countries might just have COLORS, the colors. Red, green, blue, the color of the ocean, orange, and that's got a symbol next to it for this will help, or as a bit of a caution, because there's also a fruit called orange as well as the color orange. So English is hard and can be very confusing. So I put a marker there to help say, oh, is a bit different. Doesn't quite sound like the rest of it, and the same word. It's not a duplication. So there's also white, the color of the background here, and then grey, which is a bit of a blend between white and black, and then black, which is the color of the words, and pink, it's a light red color, and yellow, and brown, so the color of dirt. There's some things where time, if we're going to meet some people, we'd need to know when to be there. But for the first day and the first few words, the major parts of time I'd say would be breakfast. After you've just gotten up out of bed, it's time to eat some food. And lunch in the middle of the day, might have some more food. And then at the end of the day, once you've gotten home, some dinner. So it might be a nice sit down meal with a bit more time, preparation time. So it might be a big day today, and might meet someone at 3 o'clock today or 5 o'clock today. But I might also meet someone at 4 o'clock tomorrow or something like that. So today's relative. And then there's also the days of the week. I'll just go through them. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's time. So we'll move on to some other places. What I should do is get a slide to show what's coming down the line and what all the different regions are. So places. The first place I'd say to learn, aside from hospital, is a pub. If you go into any small country town, it's almost certain to have a pub. place where people can go, drink, relax, possibly stay the night, and typically get a meal. Next most important place would be library. You can go and get some books and borrow them. And while this isn't exactly a place in itself, an address is the place where things are at. So my house would have an address, the supermarket would have an address, the library would have an address, and it's a way of finding things from one place to another. There's several different types of shops where people go and buy stuff. And the first one I'd recommend to learn would be a bakery. It sells nice baked treats, bread, sausage rolls, pies, cakes, and then also supermarket and bookshop. To learn, people go to a school. There might be a primary school or elementary school where they first start learning, but there could also be a secondary school for older children, and also a university, and there's also some other educational places. At a school, there might be a hall where a lot of people can go for a brief for to be larger events. There might be an assembly of everybody in the school, and they'd also break down into classrooms where there might be groups of 15 to 30 or so people. If you're looking to do some exercise, a gym is the place to go to, and I should mark that. Um, I will. I'll mark that as that because it's set exactly the same way as JIM. That gym is a place where people go and exercise, and house, a place where people live, when there might be a backyard where people might relax and say have a barbecue or similar. They might go to the park and then see some kids playing in a playground. You might stop at a gas station or a service station or a petrol station, which is the same thing, to refuel a car. Post office, if you want to go post a letter or collect a letter, they might have a PO box. But there's some other things they do there, such as banking, and they could get a passport at a post office. Sorry, a mall is another name for a supermarket, but a mall has many shops. Hotel is a place where people will go and stay while they're away. They might be traveling to another city and need a place to sleep, so they might stay at a hotel. And when you go into a hotel, the first place you'd go to is reception, where you'd meet someone to either check in or to book a room. If you wanted to go and watch a movie, you'd go to a cinema and they might be showing the current movies, but there might also be some, a smaller cinema might show some niche movies there. It's a museum would have a lot of old things. So you might have some paintings or different works of art, like sculpture. Farm is where crops and animals and grow or live and are grown, and they might have a barn there. So a farmer might have some grain and seeds, and once it's time for the harvest, things go into the barn before they can be sent on a truck to the supermarkets for sale. And I also wanted to include a castle as not exactly something modern, but something that is people would go into for protection, safety, and security. So that's a few places. Now moving on to travel and directions. So if we're around the house and I knew where something was, but you didn't, and you wanted to help me out and get it, I might tell you to go. It's up, might be on the top shelf for a book, or you might get a certain DVD out of the shelf and help you find it. So the opposite of that is down, and then left and right. And I have put these in their correct spots. So up, down, left, and right. And if we are going to travel, we're typically likely to do it on the road and probably going to do it in a car and then travel along a highway. We might also see a truck or some trucks. Sure, I'll see if I can Turn the volume up. Okay, I haven't quite listened to this, sorry. Okay, I'll just pause for a moment and change some of the settings. Okay, I think I've turned it a little up for you, Shah. I can turn it up a little bit more if you want. I'll just check some other settings. Okay, so I can turn it up a little bit more. And I'll just turn it up a little bit more now. Okay, so that should be up now. Can you let me know how that sounds? More? Okay, no worries. I'll give it everything I can. And yep, just still trying to turn it up a little bit more. And that should be everything I can do at the moment. Okay. So I'll just jump back a bit to road and then travel along a highway. In a car, we might also see some trucks. A bus might carry a lot of people. Thank you. No worries. I'll try and keep those settings in the future. Thank you. And there might also be some people riding past on a motorbike. When we need to stop and fill up, we might probably going to fill up with petrol, but it might also be diesel. And there's also some electric cars going around again. Similar to a motorbike, a bike is bipedal power. I might go on a tour where some people like on a bus and we go around as a group and people take us on a guided tour. I don't have to do the driving myself. I don't even have to know where we're going because the bus driver will take us there. And we might, instead of traveling along a road, we might be flying and go to an airport. There might be some helicopters taking off and landing, but most of the traffic at airports are aeroplanes. Might travel by a railway and go by train. And if we're going by water, a boat would be the most common way to travel on that, though some other words like a yacht or a cruise liner might be there. So, and that's travel and directions. So next, moving on to some other types of food from the initial ones. So food, sitting down for dinner, I might have a pie or a hot dog. As a side, we might have a lot of vegetables, have some potato, lettuce, peas, mushrooms, corn, onion, carrot, cabbage, or beans. I might put some sauce like some tomato, barbecue, or sweet chili sauce on my food. If I was just having a snack, I might want some fruit and orange, peach, lemon, get a handful of grapes, a strawberry or two, a mango, cherry or cherries is plural, olives, or coconut. If I need to get something cold, I might get some ice. And tomato isn't exactly a fruit or a vegetable, so I've put it off by its own. But it's very commonly used in Italian cooking, so pizza sauces and spaghetti bolognese, and as an aside and a salad as well. If we go to a restaurant, I might have a look at the menu, which they've got available for dishes they've got available. I might want some gum, short for chewing gum, and some containers. There might be a jug to have a large amount of container. So I might go to the pub, go to get a jug of beer that might be enough for several of us to drink, and then pour it into glasses. And a pot is something we can cook some food into. So if we're relaxing, might have some alcohol. I did mention beer earlier, but there might also be wine made from grapes. Several different types of meat, bacon, steak, ham, sausage, pork, and beef. If you go to the supermarket, there's a few things that we'd call staples. There's some sort of basic foods, so sugar, flour, and pasta. Now, I've put a warning sort of next to staples because there's something at the supermarket that is literally called staples, and that holds bits of paper together, and it's made out of metal, which is both ham and bacon are made from a pig. They're prepared differently, where bacon's intended to be cooked, but ham isn't cooked. It might be on lunch. You might have a ham and cheese sandwich. So to add some more flavor to the food, you might have some spices, such as salt and pepper and garlic. If you aren't hungry enough for a meal, you might have some snacks like nuts, candy, and peanuts are a specific type of nuts. If for breakfast, there's a few things that are commonly had because you don't typically have the same foods as dinner as breakfast. You might have some toast, jam. On top of the toast, have jam or maybe honey, and might be spread a little bit of butter on top of it. And for breakfast, you might also have some cereal. I haven't added, I'll add that one now. Okay. And then moving on to, I've got a few things here in one because I did want to split them out. So conversation, jobs, relationships, and emotions. The conversation, people start a conversation typically with hello. Hello, my name is Alex. And when they finish it, they might say goodbye or bye. There's start and ends of conversations. There are a lot of jobs, but early on, a few I'd say to know would be police officer, who is looks to enforce the law and find criminals and make sure they go looked after and maybe go to jail and find thieves and robbers and similar. But rather than get too complex, I've said pirate is the first word I'd say. Yeah. Nurse is someone you'd see at a hospital, similar to a doctor. The doctor might look to see with you and see what's wrong. And then the nurse might give you injections and medicine and similar and check your vitals and make sure that things are still going fine. A teacher is someone that helps you learn new things. And a driver will drive a vehicle from one place to another. So maybe a bus or a taxi. A few different emotions. You could be hungry and want to eat some food, thirsty and want to have some drink, happy or that things are going well, sad that they may not be going too well, mad that you could be angry, and if you go and play and might have some fun. The relationships, the parents of mum and dad, And you might have, parents might have also had some other children aside from you, and you might have a brother and sister. So moving on to some animals. So animals, cats, some common pets that usually live in a house. But a young cat is called a kitten, and for a dog, a young dog is called a puppy. I wanted to say something, have an animal for danger as well, so I figured I put snake in there as siblings. My mother and father have had other children. So a year before me, mum and dad also had another child, my brother. So it's a sibling is a common name for either a brother or a sister. I could say that I might have 3 brothers and 4 sisters, but in total I might have 7 siblings. It's sibling doesn't say whether they're brother or sister, but it says they're related. They're one or the other. So I hope that helps. Some animals are very small. That some animals can be very big and can be very small. But these are some small animals: an ant, a worm, and a mouse. Some flying animals: an eagle, an owl, a duck. It also likes to swim on water, and a swan. It's also a bird that can swim. On the farm, you might see several different animals: a horse, chicken or chickens, cow. The plural for them is cattle, lots of cows. A pig, sheep, donkey, and a goat. Some large animals, larger than humans: a bear, and lion, and an elephant. These animals live in the water and swim. Fish is a very general name for a lot of animals. Prawn, Americans might also call prawns shrimp. Whale is a very large swimming animal. And dolphins. Compared to the body parts humans have, some animals have different parts. So birds will have a beak. Cat and dog have a paws instead of hands. And cats and dogs also have tails out the back. So that's the animals. Got another combination one here of events, objects, and finance. Some words related to some things that are going on. Some other miscellaneous objects that I didn't quite feel the need I could put into around the house and similar. And if we're going to be buying some things, we have a few words for that as well, some specific words. So for events, they could be an emergency, and this is related to fire and ambulance and the police. Something important is going on and urgent, and someone might get hurt. It could be a fire, or there could be a search and rescue, or a boat could be sinking. And over the public address system, there might be an emergency. I tell you what, it's emergency, but also in contrast to that, picnic for at the end of the week, we might go out to the park for a picnic on Sunday. So we might put some food in a basket and then put a blanket out there, go down to the park, put the blanket out, and then spread some food out, and then just relax. Maybe read a book, but not do much, and just enjoy some food. Some other objects. I didn't realize that I did touch on it earlier, but bin, similar to dustbin and rubbish, and garbage. So garbage waste will go into a bin, but it could also be something that people has just left in the park. So it has to, it could be loose. So there might be, say, a broken bottle there, or someone might have had takeaway and left their food around. It's just garbage. A tree, you might sit under a tree and sit in the shade, and a chalkboard at school for the teacher to write on. So I do want to go into the more detail there, but I didn't want to put a whole lot of words, like 1,000 words there. And so I'm just stuck with a few. But for finance, and that should have a down arrow on it, but someone should be too worried about finance. That can involve a lot of things. Pay for something, you might need some cash. There's notes, but also some coins, like a silver coin, or some of them are copper. You, instead of paying with cash, you might pay with a credit card. And in Australia, we use dollars and cents. But in the United Kingdom, I'm pretty sure they use pounds, and then there's euros, depending on the country. So, but for us here, dollars and cents would be the words to focus on. Now, might be describing some things. I might have two people standing side by side, and someone might be tall and someone might be short. Or I might have a book that's on a shelf and I've got to try and get someone else to pick it up for it. So some descriptions. If I'm describing heat, I could be hot and want to turn the fan on, or cold and put the heater on. The size, something could be very small, little like an ant, or small like a cat, or big like a lion, or large like an elephant. Something could be working, but I might have dropped it and broken it, and it's not working anymore. It might be fixable, but it's not working right now. Something lost. I don't know where it is. I could be lost myself and have to find my way home. If I might show someone the address of the house, they could help me find my way home. But I might also have gone out and lost my phone or my wallet. If we're outside and the park, it could be very quiet. There might be a few birds chirping, but otherwise is there. But we could be by the side of a highway where things get very noisy. Distance, if something's close, like the shops might be a 2-minute walk away, they'd be near. But if it's a half hour away, it could be very far. It might also be it's a long walk. And then good, we're happy, and bad, sad. If I'm sick or ill, I want to go to a hospital. I might have be outside when it's raining. And if didn't have an umbrella, my clothes might all be wet. And I might have to wash them and then put them out on the clothesline for them to dry. Speed, I could be walking and going very slow. Someone could be going even slower than me, but someone could also run past very fast. And if I've had a very big day, I could be very tired and want to sleep and lie down. But if I did have a flatmate and they could be in their bedroom, I could say someone else that they're asleep and we shouldn't make too much noise. So that's some of my descriptions. We're getting close to the end at the moment. I've just got some weather and then geography and then a conclusion slide. So I'll go through those now. So weather, units of measure, and miscellaneous, or MISC. But miscellaneous would be what we'd say. The first few words I'd learn with weather would be outside, whether it's raining or sunny and windy, whether there's a storm outside, and whether it could be snowing, extremely cold. We might want to make sure we get a jacket for that. The units of measure are ways to describe how much of some things. For volume, we could use a litre. For distance, we use metre, and I've marked those as they sound very similar, litre and metre. we can also use centimeters, millimeters, and kilometers. I just didn't want to them all down here. Then for something weight, kilogram. So you might want to buy some apples and have to pay for them via the kilogram. And some miscellaneous words. So fire, it didn't quite seem to be an item, but if you do see a fire, I'd want to let people know. So you might be cooking something in the oven and it's been in there too long, it might catch fire. Name, what someone's name is when they introduce you in a conversation. So, hello, my name is Alex. And then if you're at a building, there might be an entry and an exit. The place where people come in by the entry and a place where people leave via the exit. For geography, once we end up moving outside the house, we might go to several different places. And early on, we might go to the city or the countryside, spend some time by a lake, maybe go for a swim, or go to the beach and spend some time in the sun, go into a cave, look for some treasure, or go for a very long walk up a mountain. I'm going to make another slide for this later with more geography and some advanced words, but I'm just keeping with some of the basics for now for someone just learning. And that's pretty much it. That's the last slide. So in conclusion, yeah, thank you for watching. Please let me know if you've got any feedback. I'll stick around for a little bit soon just to, if you've got any questions. I wasn't quite expecting it to take this long, but I wanted to run through it as a live stream before putting it up as a video to the channel. And I do plan to make these in the future, and I might do some live streams where I'm making some of these. So if you've got any requests, please leave a comment. So looking at the stream now, it looks like there's 0 people watching. So I'll just finish up with thanks for watching.